Thank you everyone for signing in early. We'll begin in about 5 minutes as everyone continues to log on. My name is Yolanda Duvall and I support the California Advanced Home Program. So if you want to stay on the line for a couple minutes, we're just going to wait for those attendees that are currently signing in. Hello, thank you again everyone for signing on early. We are going to give them about 1 more minute just for those late attendees that are currently logging on. Good morning, everyone, and thank you again for joining the webinar. My name is Yolanda Duval, and I support the California Advanced Homes Program. If you have any questions, please enter it into the question bar on the panel on the side of your screen. We will pause periodically to take questions throughout the presentation and again at the end. All attendees are currently muted. The presentation is being recorded, and we will send you a link to the recording as well as the slide deck this week. I'm going to go ahead and pass it off to Nick, who will be our speaker today.
Hi, everyone. My name is Nick Dunphy, and I'm a project manager with TRC Solutions. TRC designed the 16 code version of the California Advanced Homes Program for the statewide IOUs, and we've been successfully operating the program for PG&E for the last year. With Southern California Edison coming back into the fold of the CAP program, we were asked to come and present the program for their builders in the Southern California Edison territory. So today I'm going to go over the changes from the 2013 code program to the 2016 code program. I will talk about the incentive levels that are currently available, and I will also touch on where you can find this information within the California approved modeling software. And then we'll have time at the end to take any questions you may have about a program process or anything. We do have the program managers from the Southern California IOUs on the phone if you have questions about the process. But let's get started. So the California Advanced Homes Program, it is an energy efficiency and market transformation program. It not only captures above code savings, but it's assisting builders to get to that next code, to get to so that they're able to achieve what's necessary and what's required by the CEC in the next code. It is open to single family and multifamily new construction across the state. The multifamily for PG&E is a separate program. With the rest of the state, though, single family and multifamily all fall under the California Advanced Homes Program. So I'll be covering both single and multifamily today. The program facilitates energy efficient design and construction through incentives and design assistance. And we support builders, energy consultants, and home raters, home energy raters to help move beyond the current code and to help build some of these more advanced homes, saving some energy and helping get those builders to the next level. The program is funded through the CPUC, and that being said, incentive levels and program requirements may be revised at any point in time during the program cycle. So a little bit more about the energy efficiency and market transformation. CAP wants to be more than an efficiency program. CAP wants to push the measures that are moving us to the next code, the measures that are going to help builders become compliant in the next code. And this is really to help move the market towards that next code so that when the code hits, at least a portion of the builders and a portion of the labor force are ready for that code change. The goal is to help educate the industry about what is coming with the next code and what they're going to have to do to be able to comply with the next code cycle, and just towards meeting a standard of a better building in the state of California. So single family and multifamily program requirements. The home must meet the following requirements. It must be permitted to 2016, which means it must be permitted 2016 code, which means it must be permitted after January 1st of 2017. It must receive at least one commodity service, either electricity or natural gas, from one of the statewide IOUs. Must be built new construction. We will accept gut rehabs, but at that point a gut rehab would need to be stripped all the way down to the studs, starting over from the insulation with all HERS testing being done. Typically we do not see those qualify. So it is a new construction program, and it must meet minimum energy performance requirements, which I'll go over later in the presentation. So just for what would specify for single family or multifamily. Single family is a single family detached home, a duplex, or a townhome. Multifamily are attached condominiums or apartments. And I'll get in a little bit later about the difference between the high rise, what qualifies a high rise and a low rise. And the other requirement is an energy consultant must hold a 2016 residential certified energy analyst certificate offered through KBEC. And KBEC offers multiple exams in Southern and Northern California throughout the year to get folks qualified for that. So the program is an efficiency program. We're not a generation program. So we simply look at the efficiency of the building. We do not look at PV, and we do not use the PV offset for eligibility for the program. The only instance where we look at PV is in some of our kickers, which I will explain later on in the presentation. But in general, we look at efficiency and we do not look at the PV offset. So the PV offset offered by the CEC for compliance is not offered for compliance with the program. And as I've said, permit to program rules apply, which means you must have a 2016 code permitted home, which started on January 1st of 2017. So the new program in 2016, we've moved away from the CAP score we were using in the 2013 code program, and we're moving over to the energy design rating. So the energy design rating is very similar to the CAP score. They're both based on a scale of 1 to 250. They both have a baseline model of score 100 that they use. The difference is the CAP score used a Title 24 prototype, where the EDR uses an IECC prototype. The reason the CEC is moving towards this energy design rating is because it more closely aligns with the National ResNet HERS score, and that's something that a lot of builders have been asking for. With this change to the EDR, the CEC is going to be using it for compliance in the 2019 code. For that reason, we have decided to start using it for compliance in the program within the 2016 code cycle. That way builders and ECs can start to see exactly what the effect of these measures are on EDR, because EDR does not necessarily correlate to percent above code in all cases. So this is a little different metric. This metric takes all end uses into account and not just regulated loads. And since the CEC is using it for compliance with the 2019 code, we just want builders to get used to this metric and to see what effects their measures have on these metrics moving forward. So the current CEC software gives us 4 different EDR scores, energy design rating scores. So the first EDR they give is for the standard efficiency. This is basically your standard home. This is your prescriptive path home. It's just the EDR score that they're going to, that's awarded to that home. And that is basically your home with everything changed to the prescriptive path and put into this CEC standard prototype. Then we have the EDR proposed efficiency. This is the EDR of the home as modeled, not taking any PV or generation into account. So this is strictly the energy design rating of the efficiency of your home. And then we have the third energy design rating is the EDR for the PV plus the battery. So this is a rating that's given just to the solar generation and storage system. And then we have a final proposed EDR, which is simply the EDR of the proposed efficiency minus the EDR of the PV and the battery gives you the final proposed EDR, and that is the final score of your home. In 2019 code, you will have to hit 2 thresholds. You will have to hit a threshold for the second EDR, the EDR proposed efficiency, which will be determined by which climate zone you're in. And then you will also have to hit a secondary EDR for a final proposed, since there is a solar requirement in the 2019 code. For this program, we are taking the first 2 of these EDRs, the standard efficiency and the proposed efficiency, And we look at the difference between those, and we're calling that the delta EDR, the change in the EDR. So we want to see what the improvement of your EDR over the standard design is, and we're going to use that to set your base incentive and to determine program eligibility. So as I said, the 2018 program, which is the 2016 code program, will use delta EDR to determine eligibility. And it is the difference between your prescriptive design prototype and your proposed building. We do have some point bonuses that can be added to that delta EDR to help you get in compliance with the program, help you become eligible, or to help increase your base incentive if you already are eligible. The point values for those kickers are different in different climate zones. I'll explain that in more detail coming up. And the thing about the delta EDR is it compares the home to the way that same home would be built under the prescriptive standard. So we're not comparing it to all the buildings across a climate zone. We're actually comparing it to how that building would perform with the prescriptive path. And we want an improved delta EDR of at least 3.0 in order to gain entry into the program. So you must hit a 3.0 or a 3.1, a 2.9 will not get you into the program. And for the purposes of the program, we round all EDRs, all delta EDRs get rounded down to the whole number integer, and that's what we use to determine base incentive and eligibility. So this is just explaining how we get to the delta EDR. It's the EDR, the standard efficiency, minus the EDR, the proposed efficiency. We have some point kicker bonuses that you can add to that score, and that equals your delta EDR. And as a program, we look at that delta EDR, and it must be a minimum of 3 in order to enter the program. This is a big change in the program from 2013 as well. So it used to be with the CAP program that every home within the project needed to comply with the program eligibility requirements in order for any of the homes in that project to enroll. With this big jump to the 2016 code, we've found, and using the EDR score, we've found that in many cases, just simply changing the orientation of a home can change the EDR score by as much as 2 points. With that in mind, we have changed this program to now be at the lot level instead of the project level. What that means is if models have any orientation that comply with the program, we will enroll those models. When you request incentives, if you give us one of those models built in an orientation that was not eligible, you will simply receive no incentive for that home. When you submit a request for incentive with a home that is in one of the orientation that does comply, you will be paid out the incentive for that home. And as it says, only qualifying orientations will be paid. So we'll enroll the plan, but only lots built in the qualifying orientations are eligible for the incentives. And this is just an example of that to make it a little more clear. As you can see in this example, the north and south facing orientations both more than comply with the program, and the east and west facing orientations do not. We would still enroll this program and accept it, this plan, and we would accept it into the program. But we would only pay out north and south facing lots once they were built. We would not pay out east and west facing lots. So now the fun stuff, what the incentive levels are for the program. So we have a base incentive for this is single family. When you hit that delta EDR of 3 threshold, you be eligible for $300 per lot or per unit. And for every full delta EDR point that you earn above 3 up to 6, you can receive $150 per unit. And then there's an additional $300 per unit or per delta EDR above 6. So for delta EDR 3, you get 300. For delta EDR 4, you can add 150, you get 450. Once you get up to 6, then you can start adding $300 for every Delta EDR. We're just pushing for those deeper savings. So the higher your Delta, the more you're going to be incentivized through the program. There are program kickers that can be added, and there are also some 2019 code ready kickers that can also be added on top of these incentives that are base incentives that I'll get to in a moment. So for multifamily low rise, so multifamily low rise is any multifamily building under 3 stories or under above grade. So once you get to that 4th story, these will be bumped over into the high-rise incentive program. And that even includes if there's a 1st floor retail and 3 stories of residential. Even though it's only 3 stories of residential, that's still considered a high-rise and needs to go through the high-rise protocols. So for multifamily low-rise, we start with a base incentive of $150 per unit. And that again is with a Delta EDR of 3, just like the single family. For every EDR point up to 6, we will award an additional $50 per unit. And every EDR point above and beyond 6, we will award an extra $100 per unit. And again, with these, we have the same kicker options. We have just some standard cash kickers that I'll go over, and some 2019 code ready kickers we offer as well. Now for multifamily high-rise, these are those multifamily buildings that are more than 3 stories above grade. So because there is no EDR score for these go through the different modeling software that doesn't offer the EDR score. We're structuring this on the percent above code based on TDV, as you're probably used to in the previous programs. But the difference is we've added some more tiered layers to it. So if your high-rise multifamily is coming in between 10 and 15% above code, we'll award it $150 per unit. If it's between 15 and 20% above code, we will award those $200 per unit. Between 20 to 30% above code, we award those $300 a unit. And if you're better than 30% above code, we're awarding those $500 per unit. And these offer the same basic kickers as the low-rise multifamily. So let's talk a little bit about the kickers now. We have 4 different types of kickers or bonuses for the program. The first one is their EDR point bonuses. So these are performance embedded kickers. These are typically for measures that you can't put in the modeling software, but that we know are prone to save energy. And we want to award builders for implementing these measures. So we're awarding them with additional points that they can put on the Delta EDR to either help them gain entry into the program or to help them raise the incentive level once they're already in the program. We offer cash bonuses. Again, these are also non-modeled measures. And some of these don't lead to direct energy reductions, but we offer cash bonuses for these because we want to award builders who are participating in these programs and are just operating with best building practices moving forward. We also offer hybrid kickers. So these are where you can really start adding some money to your incentive values. So these hybrid kickers are measures that are modelable. So you're getting an EDR bump already for implementing these measures in the software, which is either going to get you closer to compliance or it's going to already enhance your incentive within the program. And then we're going to add a cash bonus on top of that, just because we see the importance in these measures. And we want to make sure that we are awarding them properly so that builders are implementing them and the contractors are getting up to speed on how to implement them, and we can get them into standard building practice hopefully in the next couple code cycles. The 4th type of kicker we offer is the 2019 code kicker. And these are cash bonuses for people who are early to adopt 2019 code, the idea of the 2019 Z&E code, and offsetting your annual site KWH. And I'll explain those in more detail in a moment. So let's start off with the performance embedded kickers. Again, these were the point kickers that can add to your bonus. There's no money associated with these besides adding to your base incentive and adding to your eligibility. So for both single family and multifamily, we offer 100% LED lighting. And depending on your climate zone, with any of these options, you're going to receive either a half an EDR point. If you're an inland climate zone, I'll go over these in a minute, and you're going to get 1 point if you're a coastal climate zone for installing 100% LED lighting. So for single family, we also offer the same points for a home energy management system. And our handbook has a much more detailed definition, but at a high level, the home energy management system must track multiple end uses, and that includes HVAC and plug loads. And it must provide a method for the user to access their energy usage information and history. And we are offering an alternate path to builders that might not want to install this technology if they're willing to make the home ready for this technology in the future. And what we mean by that is separating all electrical circuits so that no lighting load, plug load, or appliance share circuit. So you can run multiple lighting and multiple rooms on the same circuit, multiple plug loads and multiple rooms on the same circuit, but no plug load and no lighting load and no plug load and no appliance should share any circuits in the home. And the reason that we award this is because it allows for future residential demand response programs to easily offer programs to these homes. And it also allows those homeowners to possibly install their own home energy management system and be able to put CTs and separate out their circuits so that they can really track their energy use and really dig in. It's basically pre-wiring the home so that it's ready for a home energy management system and ready for residential demand response. So that is the alternate path to installing the home energy management system. And we award the same points for doing that separation of circuits. Now for the multifamily only, for them we offer the same points, but for those we require all Energy Star 2 appliances. And in order to be eligible, the units must install, or at minimum, a refrigerator and a dishwasher, and the bathroom fans must also be Energy Star. If you install more appliances than that, all the appliances must be Energy Star Tier 2, but to be eligible for this bonus, at a minimum, the refrigerator and dishwasher and bathroom fan must be installed before the sale of the unit. And as you can see, we offer 2 options for single family and 2 for multifamily. And they have the same option. So if you're inland, either single family or multifamily, you have a max EDR bonus of 1 point. And if you're coastal, single or multifamily, you have a max EDR bonus of 2 points. So here are the coastal and inland climate zone breakdowns. And we use coastal and inland because it's good terminology to separate them, but the real crux of why they're separated like this has to do with the energy intensity of those climate zones. So we look at the coastal, and the coastal is 3 through 8 and 16. So we start at the central Pacific coast and down through the southern tip. And then we have that east coast of California on there as well. And what that is those are the more mild climate zones. And those climate zones, because it's more mild, they don't have as high of a typical energy load on their homes or on their residences. So it makes it a lot harder to achieve those Delta EDR goals. And that's why we're offering them a higher bonus on these kickers in those climate zones. So then we look at the inland 1, 2, and then 9 through 15. We're looking at the upper Pacific coast, which has a pretty high heating load. And then we're looking down through the Central Valley and then down in the southeast of the state where it's particularly hot. And they are very energy intense there. These buildings typically have a very high energy load. And for that reason, it makes it easier for folks in these climate zones to achieve a higher delta EDR. So for that reason, we are only awarding them a half a delta EDR point for those bonuses in these climate zones. We have cash bonus kickers. Again, these are not modelable measures. These are just best practices that we want to award with cash bonuses. So if you're installing a balanced IAQ that meets ASHRAE 62.2 standards, we'll give you $100 per single family residence and $25 per multifamily unit. And if you are participating in the Department of Energy's Zero Energy Ready Home program, if you receive your certification through them, you are eligible for $400 per single family residence and $25 per low-rise multifamily residence. The reason that's a low-rise multifamily only is that program is only offered to low-rise buildings. And you must obtain the certificate from that you have actually are certified and not just applying to the program in order to receive the bonus. The caveat here is that balanced IAQ and ASHRAE 6.62.2 is a qualification of the Department of Energy Zero Energy Ready Home program. So if you're doing the $400 bonus, you already have to do the balanced IAQ. For that reason, the program can only award a max incentive of $400 for those homes. We're not able to double incentivize that balanced indoor air quality. In multifamily, we are offering $5 per washer or dryer for an Energy Star laundry facility. So if they're not doing in-unit laundry and they're doing a laundry room on the property, we'll award $5 per every washer or dryer as long as they're all Energy Star. We also offer $200 per device for drain water heat recovery systems in multifamily buildings as well. So these are the hybrid kickers. So these are the ones that are worth more than the value that you see right here. What you see right here is just the additional cash value we're going to award for these measures. So if you implement a whole house fan, we'll give you a $100 bonus. If you implement high performance attics, a $200 bonus, high performance walls, a $200 bonus in single family, $25 bonus in multifamily. High performance fenestration, so this is high performance windows. We are not including doors, skylights, and sliding glass doors in this category at this point in time. But if you install all your windows with a U factor less than 0.24, we will award a $200 bonus for single family and a $75 bonus for multifamily. These high performance windows are a big EDR point gainer as well. Most of these measures listed here are, which is why these are worth much more than the value shown, and I will get into that more in a moment. And also one other note on this. So this is in accordance with the prescriptive requirements of 2016. If you are in a climate zone that does not have a prescriptive requirement for walls or attics, that does not mean that you can do the prescriptive requirement and get this bonus. You still have to hit the prescriptive high performance walls or high performance attics, which for the attics would be, it must be a type A, B, or C, according to the CEC guidelines, or it must be a fully sealed attic. And for the walls, the high performance walls must meet or beat a U factor of 0.51 in order to be eligible. So even if they're not a requirement in your climate zone, you still have to meet that high performance standard in order to receive the bonus. So the last kickers are the 2019 code ready kickers. So with the 2019 code, as I'm sure everybody is well aware, there's going to be a solar requirement. And that solar requirement is roughly sized to offset the annual site kWh use of that home. And even if it's an all-electric home, that size is still going to be sized to offset the electric load of a split commodity home. So what we're looking at here for these kickers is we're looking at homes that are either installing solar or have a solar ready zone. If they are eligible for the program already, they cannot use solar to get in the program. So they must be eligible for the program without taking solar into account. And then we look and see if they're installing solar and they're offsetting 100% of their modeled annual site kWh. We will award them $500 for being basically ready for the 2019 code. They're already offsetting 100% of the annual site kWh use. If they're not installing solar, but they can model a 3 kW system, which is the typical size system that will fit in the required solar ready zone. And when they model that 3 kW system, it shows 0 site annual kWh. We give them $250 for single family and $25 for low-rise multifamily, and because they are 2019 code ready. All the next owner would have to do is to come in and install that 3 kW or smaller system, and they're already offsetting their site kWh. So we consider that 2019 code ready, and we award $250 for single family, $25 for low-rise multifamily. So this is just a table with a list of all the kickers for both single and multifamily, and then the last column there is the inputs into the modeling software and how these are calculated within the software, and I will get into that in more detail in just a moment. Actually, I'll get into that detail right now. So we are integrated, these programs are integrated into the California approved software engines, both CBEC Res and Energy Pro. So first I'm going to talk a little bit about CBEC Res and how you can get the CAP analysis turned on and the EDR analysis turned on in the current software. So when you open your project and you click in the project and you pull up your analysis tab, and within the analysis tab there's a CAP program drop down, and in this drop down you can select CAP single family or CAP multifamily, and that turns on the CAP analysis. You can then go to the EDR/PV tab, and you just click in the checkbox and turn on the energy design rating inputs. So what this will do is this will tell the software to calculate those EDRs for you, both standard, all four, the set of all four, and it'll put this in your analysis, and it'll also print these on the CF1Rs once you have this selected. This is also where you would put in the size of your PV that you wanted to be included in that EDR. So if you were going for the 2019 code ready, if you're not installing solar, but going for the 2019 code ready bonus, you would put a 3 kW system in here, run the analysis, and then confirm that the annual site kWh coming out of the software shows 0 annual site kWh to be eligible. So then we go to the CAP tab. And within the CAP tab, there are a few kickers that are check boxes that are not calculated out of the software. For these, you will check if you are implementing any of these measures, and then these will be reviewed internally. And then there is a select your solar option. So under select your solar option, this is where you can select if you are actually modeling a PV system that you will be installing, or if you're not installing it, but you're just modeling the system to see the performance. And what that'll do is that will decide whether or not you receive, if you're hitting that 0 site kWh, that box will let us know if you're actually installing the solar or if you were just modeling the solar so that you could see if you were eligible for the kicker, and then it calculates the incentive accordingly. So once you run the model, once you get it all set up and you run the model, You pull up your analysis tab. You will see on your analysis tab right here are the 4 energy design ratings. This is where we need to be very careful that we are looking at the EDR proposed efficiency and the EDR standard proficiency. We are not looking at the final proposed EDR. When we get into 2019 code, 2019 code for compliance, we'll be looking at the EDR proposed efficiency and the final proposed EDR to determine compliance. For our program, we are not looking at the final. We are only looking at the standard efficiency and the proposed efficiency EDRs. And this model happens to be the 2100 foot CEC prototype, so that the EDR scores are identical because it's the prototype that it's being compared to. So where to find the Delta EDR? The easiest place to find the Delta EDR that is standard across both software platforms is the CF1R report. Typically the second page of the CF1R report. And if you run the model on all 4 orientations, we'll give you the all the 4 EDR scores for each orientation. And since we are now a lot by lot program, each orientation matters, not just the worst performing. Now we're actually looking at the best performing lot. If the best performing orientation qualifies for the program, we enroll this lot. And just an update in the software that actually makes a difference in your EDR score, because the EDR takes in all end uses into account, is in versions 2016.1 and .2. This tab is available, but these boxes we have outlined here to select the fuel source for your clothes dryer or your cooking appliances, it was locked. You didn't have an option, and it was just defaulted to natural gas. In the most recent version, 2016.3, this is now unlocked. They've now worked out these calculations, and you can select the fuel source. The reason I bring this up is this does affect your EDR score, because it's applying a different baseline to your prescriptive home when you make the selection. It doesn't make that much of a difference in the delta if you're running everything in 2016.3. If you have models that you've run in 2016.1 or 2016.2, it is worth a shot. We have seen quite a few models now that when we run those old models in this newest 2016.3 version and we switch these over, that the EDR calculation changed slightly between the software editions, and we're seeing larger delta EDRs. We're seeing better EDR performance when we take those models that were built in 2016.1, 2016.2, and we run them through this newest version that's actually applying an electric baseline. So if you're actually installing electric clothes dryers or electric cooking appliances, select these boxes when you run the model, just because these now make an effect on the EDR, because again, the EDR is taking all end uses into account and not just regulated loads. That's one of the big steps in the next code, is that they're now going to start looking at non-regulated load with the EDR. So now in Energy Pro automatically calculates the EDR. You don't have to go in and set it up to do that. But the main display that pops up on the screen at the bottom when you do the analysis, this is the final EDR. This is not the EDR, this is not the standard efficiency EDR or the proposed efficiency EDR. This is the final EDR with PV taking into account. So you just have to watch which EDR you're pulling in both softwares to make sure you're looking at the right thing. Again, the best place to go is the CF1R. And as you can see in this one, it looks like these homes are more than complying if we look at this EDR. But again, that is the final EDR, not the efficiency EDR. So, but then when we go over and look here, we can see that this program actually does not qualify. All that EDR that was showing up on the Energy Pro screen was actually from the PV array. So I would suggest when working in Energy Pro, actually either one of these, using the CF1R and looking at these first two columns in order to determine your eligibility. The other way is turn on the CAP incentive report. So this incentive report is built into the software. Once you click the options to turn this on, this will automatically run at the end of your CF1Rs and will print for you. This will give you your basic project summary of that plan. It'll show you your base incentives, your bonuses, and your total, and then it actually breaks out where all that comes from and gives you a little idea about your proposed energy use, your proposed savings, and then just a breakdown of your end-use consumption within the home. I will say there is one caveat to this currently. There is an issue with the calculation of high-performance attics. It will be updated in the next software release. But we cannot update it until because this is built into the official CEC engine, it can only be updated when the CEC does updates. So the next time that the CEC does an official update to the software, which should be in the next few months, the high performance attic portion will be added. So just a caveat, if you are installing high performance attics, it will not be adding in that bonus currently, but the software, once it updates, will have that in there. And this is where you turn on the CAP incentive report in the software. It's just under tools, and you can go down to generate CAP report and turn that report on. And then in Energy Pro, it is just listed in the reports as a utility incentive report. And both of these will trigger that CIR report to generate for you. So now I'm going to go back and talk a little more about these hybrid kickers and the true value of these hybrid kickers. And why we call them hybrid is because you're getting funding for these both through your base incentive and through the cash bonus that we're offering. And why that is all of these measures are modelable and they all give you performance points. So each one of these can give you, depending on your climate zone and your particular building, we've seen each one of these give anywhere between a delta EDR bump of 1 to 3. So what that means within the program, and these are single family examples, but these also apply for multifamily, just on a slightly different scale. Then what you can see is if you're using that to get into the program, you know, you get 100 if you're already in the program. Excuse me. If you're already in the program and you're doing these, that delta EDR bump can get you anywhere from $150 to $300 per one delta EDR bump. So depending upon where you already were before you implemented this measure, you could get a bump from anywhere from $150 to $900 in your base incentive simply from implementing this measure without our cash bonus. And then we just add this $200 cash bonus on top of it. And that's because, and pardon the terrible pun, but we really want to push the envelope with these measures. These are envelope measures, and we want to stress the importance of having a tight sealed envelope and what that means to the resiliency of energy savings within the building. So for that reason, we're offering this additional cash bonus on top of the already possible $150 to $900 that you will already be receiving in the base incentive. And let me show you an example just to make that a little more clear. So if we look at this example with a delta EDR of 8.2, we're going to round that delta EDR down to an 8, and that gives this plan a base incentive of $1,350. It's implementing high performance attics, it's implementing whole house fan, balanced IAQ, and they are installing solar and offsetting their site KWH. So that means they're getting the $200 bonus for the attic, the $100 bonus for the fan, $100 bonus for balanced IAQ, and they're getting a $500 bonus for being a 2019 code home. That makes the total incentive for this home $2,250. So let's take the same home, and let's imagine they did not install the high performance attic or the whole house fan. So now this same model that would have received $2,250 has now lost 3 software embedded points for the high performance attic it lost one software embedded EDR point for the whole house fans. What this basically means is that your designed efficiency EDR has raised to the point, has raised 3 points and dropped your delta. So your delta has dropped from an 8.2 down to a 4.2. So we round that down to a 4, and now your base incentive is 450. You're no longer receiving the 200 for the attic. You're no longer receiving the 200 or the 100 for the whole house fan. You're still getting the 100 for the balance IAQ and the 500 for the 2019 code ready home. So this means that the total incentive for this home is now $1,050. So at first glance, it would seem that the incentive amount for not doing the high performance attic and the whole house fan, you're just losing, a little $300. But actually, the true value to this model in particular of those measures was an additional $1,200 in incentives, not the $300. So we have to look at these kickers as adding this cash value, but also adding to your base incentive value. And that is all I have on the program for today. I think we can open it up for questions. Yolanda, do we have any typed in questions or anybody with their hand raised?
Nick, we don't have any typed in questions. We did have one hand raised. It's Shara. Am I saying it correctly? I can go ahead and open you up to questions, or you can type them in. I'm going to go ahead and do that now.
It's by mistake. I didn't realize I had my hand raised.
Oh.
Sorry about that. I just unhooked it. Thank you. Sorry about that.
No problem. Anyone else have any questions that they want to type in the box? Oh, wait. Okay, let's see. We do have one question. If you can go ahead and please repeat which projects qualify regarding permit submittal date.
So all projects have to be permitted under the 2016 Title 24 code. So that means the permits need to have been pulled after January 1st of 2017. We also have an eligibility requirement within the program, though, that if you're past drywall, you're not eligible for enrollment in the program. So if you've pulled those permits last year and you're not past drywall yet, you would still be eligible to apply to the program. I would recommend getting those applications in soon.
It looks like that answered the question, and at this time we still do not have any additional questions. Okay, we do have one more. For multifamily, what common areas can be included?
For multifamily, this year for the modeling, we are doing a whole building model. So we're actually modeling the building with the common areas, and it must comply with the common areas included. So that's any sort of residential common area. That does not include if it has a first floor commercial or if it has a parking garage, that's not included. But any common areas that are shared by the residences, so hallways, like clubhouses, lobbies, game rooms, anything like that, all needs to be included in the model. And we look at those models as a whole building instead of separating them out. I know with the last program, we were separating out the common areas and the residences, and that was probably not the best way to go about requiring two models. So we're simply going to require one model, and we look at the building as a whole. We're not just looking at the residences anymore. So we are including all of the common areas in this evaluation of the building. And typically that leads to better compliance, to be totally honest.
All right, it does look like that answered. Give me one moment. So that did answer the previous question regarding common spaces. We will be going ahead and sending out a PDF of the slide deck. I also wanted to just reiterate that the program is a first come, first serve program. So ensure that the products get or apply since it is a first come, first serve. I also wanted to open it up to Monica and Kavita if they have any additional information. So I'm going to go ahead and open up your mics at this time.
And we just want to congratulate and welcome the new SCE project manager, Kavita Rodriguez. We're happy to have her on board, and we'd like to congratulate her on taking over the program.
Well, thank you. Monica, do you, well, I guess the first come, first serve aspect of this program is really important to SCE at least this year because we do have a limited budget at this time. And so it's really important to get all your information in as soon as possible. We're just going to be taking, you know, projects by the date that they were submitted. So as far as possible, if the applications are complete and accurate, you should be okay. Monica, did you have anything to add?
Yeah, the project is considered submitted when we have all the documentation, or when it's approved by plan check, or when the agreement is approved. When does the clock start, Kavita?
Well, the project would come into the CAP inbox, and that's the order in which we would go through plan check. As soon as the agreement is signed, that's when you know you have the money committed to you. So if it doesn't go through plan check, and you know if there are problems with your plan check, and you go back to the back of the queue basically. So it's, you know, it's important to have everything in before.
So when your acceptance letter.
Yeah, the acceptance letter is when your money is committed. Up until then, it's, you know, you're in waiting.
I think that's all I have.
All right, Nick, is that everything for you as well?
Yes, nobody has any questions. That's all I have.
Oh, one more thing. We wanted to talk about if anybody was interested in the high performance walls and high performance attics thing. We have an exhibit that we are opening today at the Irvindale Energy Education Center. So if you're in the area and would like to take a look at the different ways you could achieve a high performance wall or attic, the event starts at 5 o'clock this evening, and if you can't register online, you can come to the Energy Education Center and walk in registration there.
Okay, so thank you everyone for joining. And like I stated, we will go ahead and send out the PDF slide deck, and this was recorded.
Okay, thank you. Goodbye.